Good afternoon, it's Melanie Moore here and welcome to Big Vision TV, and today is a live episode. So I always keep my fingers crossed that when we're live that the technical gods are with us and that everything is going to go smoothly and my dog is going to be relaxed and calm and we can have an amazing episode. But as you know, with live TV anything can happen, so please bear with us. Anyway, today we're going to be talking a lot about kind of female empowerment, girl power, but girl power next level. We're talking about woman power, female empowerment, and because I think this is a really powerful time for women right now. I feel there's some kind of shift that's taking place. I can't quite put my finger on it. Perhaps my guest today may be able to put her spin on it, but there's a lot of kind of talk and there's a lot of energy around this whole divine feminine rising, and that this is a time for women to kind of really to make their mark in the world, to share our experiences, our wisdom, and so that we can help the next generation of not just women, not just our daughters, but also men as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, and you can see her name already, and we're just going to start chatting. Here we go. Hello, welcome Marie. How are you doing?
Hi Melanie, I am absolutely delighted to be here today. It's so exciting, so it is.
I'm delighted to have you on. And tell us, where in the world are you?
I live in the middle, right slap bang in the centre of Ireland, in a place called Athlone. So it's literally geographically in the centre, which is fantastic because, we're close to everything.
Fabulous.
with the centre, with the spokes coming out of the wheel. So
amazing, on the Emerald Isle. And I've kind of described this episode as a bit of a, let's backtrack. It's like Big Vision TV is all about inspiring the viewers to have a bigger vision for their lives, to kind of make changes, because I personally believe it's never too late to set a new goal or to dream a new dream or to make big changes in your life, because very often we kind of feel like we have this script for how life should be. That is, you go to school, perhaps you go to university, you might get married, have some kids, and then you live your life. You may or may not have a career, and then you retire, and then it's kind of like downhill from there on. So, which is no.
Definitely not. No. It's very much, basically what you said. And I think as women, we have that sense of responsibility for others and our family. And so their happiness tends to come first. When I started this off initially, I had that sense of responsibility. I felt that if I didn't do everything in my power to make everybody else happy, that I wasn't succeeding. I said, what a load of crap. Why do we put these things on ourselves? So, but I knew, that's a huge responsibility. And it took me many years and chipping away to actually come back to the whole core of, no, it starts with me and my responsibility. And then in empowering myself, then I can empower others. And taking a step back, particularly when you've got children, taking a step back and allowing your children to expand and grow without interfering as such, but being there to support them so that they can actually make the decisions that you don't agree with. I'd have a discussion with my daughter and I say, I don't actually have to agree with you for you. If this feels right for you, then you go do it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's not my life, it's yours. But it took me a long way to get from when I started to that level of letting go. So,
Yeah, I find that the same with my children now, and mine are younger than yours, but even now I'm kind of saying to them, okay, I know you've got homework to do. It's kind of up to you whether or not you do it. I encourage you to do it. If you don't want to do it, just suffer the consequences, and I've got to this point already. And of course, yes, I encourage them, but, and I guess that's just my style of parenting. Fingers crossed, time will tell to see and I did it right. You never know if what you're doing is the right thing. But yeah, we have this identity as a mother or a wife, And it's just kind of, it's this role that we play. But that's the thing. And when we're playing these roles, we forget who we are. I remember when the children were little, then we got a dog. It was like my needs kind of came at the bottom.
Yes.
Not anymore.
Totally relate to that. But, you know, I think instinctively you know that within you that there's more to life than the life you're living, you know. And I think for anybody that's out there listening, that's a fantastic place to start from, with the awareness that there is more to life out there than, you know, that there's more to you. And when you go start looking for that, that's when you start opening the doors. For me, you know, I went in to do energy work. So, you know, I did Reiki and I worked with angels and I did mystery school, and they were all great. It's like there's a real sense of excitement when you start expanding your world out from, you know, your own vision of what would happen. But even in all of that, there still wasn't, you know, it still wasn't giving me what it was that I wanted. And, you know, I've always known that I wanted to work with people. I actually do like people. My background is as a nurse and as a midwife, and, you know, I did neonatal intensive care. So, you know, I'm very much always in a supportive role, and I know the importance of that, particularly when you're going through big life events. And I suppose in my experiences at that time, and I didn't even have that realization until recently that, you know, I was already doing it, but I just want to do it on a different level, like in the life support. And then it was, you know, so I did the energy work, and then that was great, but it still wasn't enough. And it was when I went into the whole mind, because I know the way my mind works and the negative self thoughts that we have, and we go round in the hamster wheel going round and round and round. And I felt at one stage, if I could just cut my head off, you know, and plant all my thoughts to one side, I'd be so much happier. So when I found that there was a way of working with that I could in fact change my thoughts. And for me, it was through NLP, and I studied it over a couple of years. And in the exercises, I became more and more empowered. And what I actually found in the whole time that I was doing it, that the more I worked on it, the stronger my connection to myself was.
Yeah.
Something that had so been lost in the layers of caring for others. That, you know, so when I actually had that connection myself, it was like the light bulb went off, and I says, oh my God, and this isn't rocket science, you know, this is something that everybody can do for themselves. And when I did that, then I thought, do you know what, we need to be teaching our kids about this. So I did a CD, and I used the NLP techniques, used them as fairy stories. And in each story, it's like where you're standing up for yourself, you're dealing with bullies, all the things in life that it took me a lifetime to learn, the power of gratitude, using intent. You know, if we can teach our kids and even give them, you know, these tools when they're young, can you imagine what it is that they're going to take and run with it? Because they're so far ahead of the posse in comparison to the lifetime that it's taken us. But I think we needed to go through this so that we can let others know and help others.
Absolutely. And, you know, and we talk about not just being a wife and a mother, but then that identity also shifts when your children leave home. I'm not quite there yet, but it's not in the too distant future. And also, you know, both of us, we've been through kind of marriage breakups as well. And all of a sudden, you've lost that identity as a wife, and you know, facing life as a single parent, that's suddenly a different kind of identity, and along with it comes different responsibilities.
Totally is. And probably, yeah, and you know, all of these happened in my 50s, so they were probably the biggest time when my biggest stressors, as in the biggest life events that took place. You know, my dad died, and he would have been like my support.
Yeah.
He died in the following year. Then I separated. So, you know. And I realized, because, you know, myself, my husband, he had been working abroad. So the relationship we had, you know, survived over distance. And I'm truly grateful, because it actually gave me time to work on myself, my self-growth, my self-awareness, my sense of self. Because, you know, to survive in the world, you need your own sense of self. And when we did decide that we were going to separate, and it was amicable, I didn't realize. I thought, yeah, this is great, this is amicable. we were together like 25 years. So I totally underestimated the emotional connections that we had, even though we were not physically, in the same country. Because even though he was working abroad, there was still that energetic and physical connection. But when that was taken away, I can honestly say that probably for about the first 6 weeks after that happened, I felt as if, a depth charge had gone off in my life. And it took me, that length of time to get through the panic and the whole thing, I'm on my own now and I have to do it all. And, the whole sense of responsibility. And then you settle down and you relax into the role and you discover more and more about yourself. But you're now finding more about yourself, but also supporting others while they're going through, so I had 3 children, so helping them go through it. And they all, embraced it, if, for want of a better word, in different ways. But the biggest challenge for me was my youngest then, because she basically, from the time we separated for about 3 or 4 years afterwards, she actually went, she got depressed. And it took her for about 3 years to go through that. So that, as well as the whole thing of, dealing with the grief and letting go, now, you find yourself in the role of as an emotional support. And when you need support yourself as well. And we got through it. And you have to trust your gut on what feels right for your children, as well as trusting that you were being looked after. And I was being looked after, but that didn't make it any easier. So it's, she's through that now. The divorce is final. The new life, new world, new experience. And just when you have those all under your belt, it's like, whew. And you know what? I can help anybody that's going through that. I can be the emotional support for you. You don't have to do it on your own. It's so much easier. There's tools and techniques and stuff that you can use that allows the grief to come up, to be healed and to be let go. We don't have to hold on to it anymore. It's just hugely empowering.
Yeah, but Michelle's just put a comment. I put a comment on the screen that the greatest gifts I learned about myself happened after my marriage ended. And it's so true. And I think, at the time it feels like, the world's crashing in and, can I survive this? Can I go, could I, can I cope or all this stuff? But then once that kind of settles, it, so Michelle said I did. It's scary and exhilarating. It's scary and exhilarating at the same time. But and I think sometimes as women, and obviously because Marie is a mentor to women as well, and obviously I coach and mentor myself. And Marie's actually with me in my vision alignment program. It's that I feel that sometimes God or the universe gives us these experiences, so that we can actually go and help others going through the same thing, because not everyone has learned NLP or tapping or ways to kind of manage their emotions. And for some people, it literally feels like the end of the world. I cannot cope. I may as well curl up in a ball because my life has ended, which is clearly, we're both living proof that this is nonsense.
Yeah, and you're totally right. And and that whole thing about divine plan, I totally get it. I felt probably more in tune with it the older I got, and I think it, people's awareness happens at different ages in their lives. For some, they'll it'll be their teens, some it'll be their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, and each one, it's like they get a huge challenge in life. They learn how to do it their way. And then they empower others, because if it worked for them, then there are others that it worked for as well. And I think, that it's what it is we're here to do. And if we don't follow it, I could very easily go say, like, I'm 61 now. I could say, okay, that's great. Done my life. I'll sit back and I'll relax. and I put my feet up. But there's always been something behind me that's pushing and saying, no, you can't do that. And there's times you say, oh, do you know what? I think, what I have learned about is taking time out. The importance of that for yourself. That when you go through big emotional experiences, you need to allow your body, your mind, and your spirit to recover. Yeah. And we're living in a world where it's like doing, going. And all that does is exhaust us. So, for people with me, very much it's like simplifying your life, bringing it back to what really just works for you. Yeah. Because when you start from there, then you're rested, you're more in tune with yourself, you're doing things when they feel right as opposed to having to do them. And that's really, it's like you're learning to ride the wave, but it's a gentle wave,
That's so important.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you've mentioned that, because there was a time not so long ago, my children were still quite young, where, facing life as a single parent, and, they were, I think, 8 and 10 at the time, something like that. And it was like I had to literally put myself first, and that feels so unnatural. It goes against everything, about being a mother and a woman, because you want to put your kids first. And don't get me wrong, I didn't suddenly just like leave them alone. But this is when I really started investing in my personal development, in my own coaching, my own, joining masterminds and mentorships and groups. And yes, it involved overseas travel and I actually see in sometimes some of these groups, people say, oh, I'm not sure I can attend this event because I've got to leave the kids alone for a couple of days. Maybe I'll do it next time. And I had to kind of push myself to kind of say, explain to the kids, say, look, I'm doing this really for you. I'm going to be away for a few days, Of course, I left them in good hands. I didn't just leave them to fend for themselves. But it was so important for my own kind of... Firstly, it was great just to get away for a few days, just time for me. And I thought the further away, the better. If I'm on foreign soil, I can't rush back if there's a problem. They're just going to have to deal with it. But, and I think it's so important as women... different stages in your life to get support. I remember when they were babies, I joined the NCT, which is the National Childbirth Trust, where you join a group of other people who their babies are due at the same time as you. And I had to pay for that. But goodness me, at that time in your life, you need that support. And I don't think I've been without a support group ever since. Obviously, when your children start school, you develop friendships with mums from school. They then become your circle. But then and the next phase is just like, who is my... and of course, you've got your friends, your lifelong friends, and they'll always be there. They're your rocks and your anchors. But then other times you need people who are going through, similar business growth as you, or when you want to learn new skills. I have several groups to help me with different aspects of my business. So let's talk about mentorship for a minute, Marie. What's your experience about support, mentorship, and that kind of thing?
And it's interesting that you spoke on something about when you join the groups. I'm a big networker, and getting support from peers. In Ireland, there's a networking group called Network Ireland, and each county would have its own and has autonomy over its own groups. But when I was living in Dublin, I was very much a part of that. And when I it was around the time that I had recorded the CD, but I was still working away and minding the kids. That was my social life. It was my connection. It was my empowering. That's where I got my empowering from, because we did different venues and different, it was once a month, different venues. You got to meet wonderful, inspiring, successful people that spoke to you as their equal. And that in itself, to surround yourself with that sort of energy was phenomenal. And I got so much from it that I actually went on and became president in 2017, because I totally believe that we have a divine mandate, shall we say, to help and support each other. And I think for women in particular, women that are on the same wavelength, that are for the greater good of other women, gathering them together we generate an energy that just goes, whoosh, and it gets us over the humps and the bumps, and supports us, and it gives us the connections. It brings the people into our lives that we're meant to meet, and our life expands out from that. So I totally agree in networking is hugely, hugely important. Mm-hmm. Surround yourself with like-minded people. There are enough people out there that are going to drag you down, and that's why sometimes you need to be careful when you're sharing your experiences with people that don't share the same experiences, because they don't know where you're coming from.
And speak like, oh, poor you, how can you cope? Yeah, oh, are you okay, love?
Yeah, exactly. It's more like, do you know what, I've been there, done that, you can get through this, and this is what worked for me, and how can I help you, and how can I support you? So I find that was my start for the networking, and then I went on and I did the one-to-one mentoring. I found that was, for the first time in my life, having a one-to-one with somebody that saw the bigger picture for you that you don't see at that particular time. And I think that is the beauty of mentoring. When you enter in a contract with somebody, you obviously have to have a connection with them, but that they see the bigger picture of you in all your magnificence that you don't even have an inkling about, your thoughts, your aspirations, your gifts, what it is that you can do. And you start by giving it to yourself, but seeing somebody else allows you to do that, and to feed yourself. Yes. So important to feed yourself, to give yourself all the nourishment and absorb it like a sponge, because you need it all. We are overcoming centuries of womanhood and the divine feminine being suppressed. So, it's really only in the last 100 years, and it's why women are embracing the lives that they're, because their instincts are coming up to the fore, and we now have a stage that they can actually go and speak, that they would never have before. The supports are coming in from other women that will allow them to do that. And it's just so important. And you touched on something earlier on, which is really, really important as well, is that, we, in empowering ourselves, it's not at the expense of our men, or, at the divine masculine. We need us both rising in balance. We came from a time where it's like masculine, feminine. We need to be going back into balance, because that's where we work in union, in harmony together. And that's where we do the most good.
Of course, because we have, not all of us, but we have sons as well. And we want them to grow up to be, strong, powerful, gentle men who can support their strong, powerful women.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you need the best of both. Now, I know myself that after I separated, I would have gone into masculine energy, because I was replacing what was missing, from my kids' point of view.
You become mum and dad.
You become mum and dad. And so many women that are separated can identify with that. They're doing the fetching, the carrying, the organising, the working, and then the supporting and the feeding, all of that, that comes from being a single parent, because 9 times out of 10, it is the mum that's doing it. And it's actually very easy for the men to emotionally take themselves out of the picture. Yes. They can say to themselves, oh, we're not good enough, and, they're better off without me, which is a load of crap. But, it is very easy in this day and where, that, and then it's like, you're the mom. It's like, okay, now you've got to go and earn a living, and now you've got to go support the kids, and now you've got to, and then it's like, it's probably one of the most challenging things, because not only are you doing 2 roles, you also have to earn a living, and then you also have to support a family. And it was, oh wow, it is a huge challenge. So it is.
It is. And adding to that as well is that I've got aging parents to deal with as well. So, and I know you've been there as well, that it is tough. It's not easy at all. And, some people who may have be under this illusion that I kind of live this kind of easy life, and I just show up online, and, you just probably see just a fraction of my life that it's pretty chaotic a lot of the time.
And right. Everything that you're going through, that women are going through on a daily basis. So we are all exactly the same. You know, we have learnt and grown and empowered through our own experiences, but the life, you know, brings in more stuff that we have to deal with, and it's more emotional healing that comes in, and more stuff that forgiveness and shedding, so that we can, you know, we get lighter and lighter and we get more empowered. But life is a process, and we are going through it, and it's going to continue on until we're not here anymore, when we transition out of this world.
Exactly. And, you know, so obviously Marie's a mentor to women as well, and obviously as am I. And I think when you are looking to work with a mentor or coach of any kind, it's almost, I think it's really important, perhaps people who are watching today are looking for some kind of support in their life. You may be listening to this thinking, yes, I'm going through this, but I'm not coping, I'm struggling. And I think this is a time when it is important to kind of reach out and you know, you can reach out to either of us to see, you know, how we can help. But I think it's important to kind of look at the experiences they've been through, because somebody who's going through all of this is not going to get much value from a male coach, who's a single male coach who's never had kids. Equally, I think you know, having been there as a single parent, having been there, you know, dealing with aging parents, dealing with young children, dealing with all of it, gives you so much experience and wisdom. And I realise that I'm pretty resilient, and as you are, Marie, you know, I can cope with a lot. And there are people, I kind of dread to think, you know, if somebody else would suddenly live my life, I just wonder, oh my gosh, you'd last 2 seconds.
And you know,
and running an online business, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you know what women out there have got to realise, there isn't a thought, a feeling or an emotion that they're going through that we haven't gone through. You know, that overwhelm, but it's just that our tools kick in. So they do. And then that's how we, you know, that resilience is probably the greatest gift that we gave to ourselves. So it is the ability to pick the cherry, you know, pick the best out of the bad situations, and make, you know, as I say, you know, if life gives you lemon, you know, make lemonade or whatever. But it's a bit like that in doing and going through everything that we do, we're seasoned. We're well seasoned. So we are
marinated.
Yeah, because we have been, you know, it took us a whole life to get us and to make us who we are. And it, you know, there are a lot of people, like I'm in my 60s now, I probably have more excitement about life than I would have had over the last 10 or 20 years. There's such a sense of empowerment, of fun, of excitement, of joy, of happiness, of peace. And then there's the whole thing of, because you are running a business, it's like you have the ups and downs of running a business as well. But at our ethos, because we both want to serve. So we do. We both want to be of service to others so that they can do it for themselves. And that's the really, really important thing. Only you can go through in your own life what it is you go through. But by God, having the support of somebody there really makes it easier for you. So it is.
Absolutely. And, you know, we could talk all day long about the importance of support. And I think I just put the comment up there. Michelle said such incredible support to, you know, the coaches that she's had in her life. So, and that's the thing. I think a lot of the time, because we are so capable, we are so resilient, and we are able to multitask, that very often we do end up just doing it alone, where we don't ask for help. And I've been guilty of this in the past. You know, I don't like to ask for help. Because I tell myself I can do it. But I have realised actually, and it was my big thing for last year, just to actually reach out when I know that I feel things are getting a little bit, that I do need help. And also I think people love to support you. People do like to naturally help. And equally, I would jump, you know, if I see somebody that needs help, I'm a natural helper. Yesterday, I was just laughing at my day yesterday, back-to-back coaching, running out to help firefight and then kids. And it's just like literally helping people all day long, which is great. But then I know that I have to redress that balance with time for me, book that spa day, book the massage, book that, that day away to myself and, read and bake a cake or whatever, just something on my own. It's so important to bring that back to you, because there are people who will live like that day in, day out, 24/7. My mum's been one of those people, and it will burn you out. You will suffer if you do not make time for yourself.
Yeah, and I can honestly say that and I totally, that resonates so much with me, because we are strong women, and we particularly when you're on your own and you say, I can do it, and you can do it.
Yeah. And it's almost like a badge of honour to begin with, isn't it? But then it does, it gets a bit exhausting after a while.
But it is totally exhausting, and you can only do it for a certain length of time. And I think the ability to read the signals of knowing when it is, do you know what? I actually need support coming in now. I need somebody who can help me get through this. And, a lot of the time is, and I know it because I can feel it myself. I said, do you know what? I only need somebody to handhold me maybe for about 4 weeks or 6 weeks or something like that until I can process this and let it go. And then it's like you've come out the other side, and because you don't need it all the time, but somebody has given you a gift of support, that allows you to, within a safe environment. And as mothers, we do it instinctively because we do it for our children. But we can, we do the same thing for our clients, that we energetically hold them. I wouldn't have known what that was like about 20 years ago, but I'm very much aware of it now, that when you have a connection, and that's why, the heart-to-heart thing is really, really important, that the people that you're working with, that that when they're talking to you, say, oh, I so get where she's coming from. And, that it works actually both ways.
Yeah. And I think that's why we gelled and we connected, because, very similar experiences, very, Reiki, energy work, angels, and you've got to, vibe with your client, with your mentor, with your coach. You've really got to have that connection. It's so important.
And it's true. And sometimes you're looking at people, and you Google whatever, but if you can hear somebody speak from the heart for about 5 minutes, and you can say, do you know what? She's totally resonating with, I can so get what it is that she's saying. You have to go with that, because that's your guiding light. So it is. That's your inner inspiration, your sat nav, as I call it.
Yeah.
Your gut talking to you, say, this is somebody that you can work with and that you can expand and grow and move bigger and more forward in your life, because we're always moving forward. So we are.
And Jackie said here that I too am independent, not good at asking for help. So Jackie, I hope from the basis of watching this interview that you will see how important it is to ask for help. And it's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of any of that at all. It really is just vital.
And it's a sign that you're quite insightful, that you know exactly what's good for you, that you're knowing instinctively what it is that's good for you. And then it's just about putting out that you attract the right person to support you, to come in, to help you with this, because none of this is for life. A lot of the times it's just getting through like certain experiences, or you are stuck in life, or, you want to help support after that, that first year after your divorce, or that you were starting up a business, or you're moving house, or all of these big experiences that bring up a whole load of emotional stuff that we've repressed over the years because we never allowed ourselves to feel.
No, exactly. And, I'm so excited about what you're creating, Marie, and your plans for all the things you have coming up. So tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up, Marie, what you're working on. I know I'm pushing you out of your comfort zone, and I know that, and that's the thing, we do have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to operate in an entirely new way in our life or in our business, it does involve that period of growth. You know, I think I shared with you at the beginning of this broadcast, I've got this whole new software to do my thing, and it's not automatic yet. I've still got my training wheels on, but it doesn't stop me from doing it, and it's not perfect. There may be the odd glitch here and there. But it's just, okay, keep practicing, keep showing up, and keep doing it differently. And okay, what can I do differently now? Is tweaking and refining. So tell us at what stage you're at, Marie, and you know how women can come and find you. And
thanks, Mel. Well, I'm very much at the moment, it's all about emotional healing, that in healing ourselves at the present, then we send healing back to the past and going forward to the future. So I do workshops called Healing Your Family Tree. And that I found, because when I did it myself, it was probably the one thing that I could feel almost like my ancestors were going behind me, going, yay! You know?
Oh, gosh,
really,
yeah.
You know, giving them tools, giving them sending them back love. It's like you're your fairy godmother giving gifts back to your parents and your grandparents so that they can embody going forward. I'm doing the one-to-ones, but because I don't like overextending, I like minding my energy so that I can have the energy to help. So I'm working with 3 people from now. So it's a 6 week, but there's going to be 3 weeks, which is basically finishing out this decade, and what it is you want to let go of, and what it is you want to come to terms with, and what healing you want to bring in. And then the other 3 weeks is in January. And January is very much, it's a new decade. It's about what it is that I want to embody, what it is I want to create within me. What sort of a life do I want to lead? Who do I want in it? What do I want to create? So it's very much a nurturing, caring, gentle, heartfelt energy, you know, that in working together that we can create something of beauty, but from a gentle, heartfelt space, because, you know, a lot of us we do need healing, and because I'm upgrading my EFT as well, because I love it. So I'm going to do EFT Thursdays. So it's like
fabulous. Everyone needs to be tapping.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like people that wouldn't maybe have tried it before can come with me have a session, see it, try it out, experience it, so that they can get through stuff faster, particularly coming up to Christmas time. Like this is a great time to be de-stressing, you know, in December, that, you know, you can come on for a session and it's like,
oh, little tagline there, de-stress in December.
Yeah, all the things that are coming up about family and money and support and pressure and all the things that we put on ourselves to lead these life. Great session to come on just to de-stress yourself so that these things don't affect you, that you can actually go around and enjoy it as opposed to going around with lists, you know, and steam coming out your ears, and, you know, there's rain and there's traffic and there's lights and you're collapsing exhausted. So it's like de-stressing December. So I'm going to do them on Thursdays, and then in January I'll do another set, you know, for creating, you know, the new you in January. I think that the thing that's coming to me is like gentle January.
Oh, I know, I like that. Yeah.
You know, because I do believe that, you know, sometimes we say, oh, the new me, I'm going to do all these new things. But I actually go more with the seasons. So I think, you know, about February or March is a good time.
When the sap starts to rise.
Exactly. Whereas in gentle January, it's like, well, this is all about support while I relax.
And we're still in hibernation mode in January. It's cold.
Exactly. You know, that it's all about comfort and warmth, and it's just like a big warm hug, you know, but it's just, you know, every week for the month of January. It's just fabulous.
It's wonderful. So, Marie, if you can put in the comments afterwards how we can get hold of you and your link to your website and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to backtrack slightly to something that you mentioned, which I think is so important, but people may have kind of like glossed over because I think, what's that got to do with me? When we start talking about ancestral healing and generational healing,
Yeah.
I've experienced some of this myself recently. And again, I kind of think, yes, I've done so much personal development work, so much inner work. I've tapped for God knows how many hours, thousands of hours. I've read the books. I've done the courses. I've walked across hot coals. You name it, I've pretty much done it. For the past decade, my life has been, down this big journey, more than that, this journey of personal development and spirituality. But only very recently, I did some ancestral healing of my own, because I was well aware that the stuff that kind of happened within my family, and which I don't want to go into too many details here, but from my grandmother's generation, because my grandmother was, Chinese. She had left China to come live in Thailand. And then my mum was the fifth of five girls, and, still in an age where boys were probably more favoured to be born. So my mum being the fifth of five girls, there was this whole story of not being good enough was kind of like running the show. And I felt this so much in my own life. And people, they kind of see the things I've done. They said, no, you're telling a whole bunch of porky pies here. How can you possibly feel that you're not good enough with the things you've done? But it doesn't take away that this was ultimately one of my root stories. And this had all stemmed from, because, okay, well, let's go a bit science here. Marie, I know you know this, and we've talked about this before. The egg that created me lived inside my mother's ovaries when she was still in utero inside my grandmother. So any of the traumas and the experiences and anything that she lived through was impacting the egg that created me. It took me a little while to get my head around that, but it makes so much sense. If you can inherit your grandmother's nose or her personality or characteristics, then this is going to affect our DNA as well. So I did some powerful healing, some powerful tapping sessions on releasing some of that trauma. And I had no idea that I was holding on to this at this deep energetic level. And oh my gosh, the release and the trauma release I had was huge, absolutely massive. And, it was just mind-blowing. And I didn't know that I'd been holding on to this. So I just want to share just how valuable this work that Marie does is in healing the ancestral tree. Sorry, Marie, I had to go on. I wanted to just talk about how important that work is.
No, and you're absolutely right. And, an awful lot of people don't realise, say, that their relationships with their mothers or their the family dynamics are patterns that are actually repeated. For me, say for my ex-husband, when he was young, his dad had died. So he had no dad growing up. He repeated that pattern, with himself. Even though he was married, he took himself out of the family dynamics. So he created a pattern that he could actually recognize,
yes.
Because he was without a father. He never really knew how to fulfill that role. Yeah. And that's just one incident of how it can manifest itself. And then you go back, like prior to that, and we've got war and we've got repression, religious repression, repression as women, fear, lack, poverty, all of these fears that, that not all that long ago, like my mum is 91, bless her, she's absolutely fabulous. 1928, she was born. So she's like a tangible link to the recent past, even like in her 91 years. And her mother, and I'm very much aware of her mum, being around me and supporting me, going, yeah, because she didn't have tools or techniques. She would have been like, in her time, she would have been the wise woman in the village, where people would have come for advice and support. So it's almost, that when we do these things, but when we bring them up for healing, we do release them. And what we do is we do send healing into the past.
Yeah.
All the things the burdens that they carried through no fault of their own, but because of the circumstances. And I'm very much aware that we come back, we do come back to transcend these patterns. And it was something that I was aware of, that the book stopped with me. You know, and it was something that I took on. I knew, and I took it on voluntarily. I said, you know, I've got the strength and the willingness that I can actually do this, not only for myself, because everything you have to do for yourself first. It has to feel right for you. But in healing myself, that I could do it in the past, and I could free my kids. I've 3 children. I've
just
2
about
girls.
to say that we heal it for our daughters and our sons.
Exactly, so that they do not have to be carrying, you know, so that their partners don't take themselves out of the equation, because that was the pattern that my girls would have known, you know, and that was created. So, you know, it's, you know, having the book stop with you, if you're willing to do it, if you're willing to heal your own life. And this is all very gentle stuff. So it is. Gentle and powerful, and it's like the, you know, that the pebble in the pond. It has that ripple effect out, and all you need is to tweak 1 or 2 things very, very gently, and it has that knock-on effect out, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful and powerful and healing, and all-encompassing. You know, it just, to hear them going like, oh, you know, it's no more, you know, that healing is gone. And it's really important for our kids in particular, because they are, you know, the ones that are on the cutting edge of society, and they're the ones that are going to be making the big decisions going forward. And they need to do that unencompassed by
whether or not to put us in a care home.
Yeah, exactly. That's one family heirloom you don't need to pass on, so it isn't.
No.
It's really powerful, so it is. And you know, for me, it was the one exercise that brought in a huge amount of healing and forgiveness and peace and gentleness and love. You know, it was just, I found it as you know, the beauty of it is you can do it as often as you like. Each time bringing up, you know, if you want to bring up specific things, like maybe your relationship with your mother, or, you know, the fact that you've been abandoned, or whatever it is, you know, these are all things that you can actually bring in and bring up for healing. Hugely, hugely powerful.
Fabulous, Marie. Now, do you know, I know I could talk to you all day. I could talk to you all day. We could go on about this for hours, but I'm just conscious of, you know, your time as well, Marie. And, you know, it's been so fabulous talking to you, but also just to bring this conversation to people's awareness. Sometimes you may not even know that you're holding on to these stories and the patterns. And sometimes we're just not even aware, but just hopefully by some people hearing this conversation today, it may suddenly make you recognize, oh my gosh, I've gone through this, and my mum went through this, and my sister's going through this, and my aunt went through this, and, you know, just lots of things. And the buck stops with us. That it doesn't have to continue any longer. But, you know, there is so much more around this that, you know, again, oh gosh, we could talk all day. But so if we post in the comments how we can get hold of you, Marie, and your website, and the world needs more powerful women to heal the past, to, you know, to heal our daughters, and to really, you know, shift the ourselves, obviously, and, you know, to shift the vibration of the planet as we step into this new decade and these new times, which on the outside, you know, politically and all of that, when you look at the newspapers, kind of think, they seem a bit shaky and uncertain, but it does begin with you and your relationship with yourself and your place in the world and your security and all that kind of stuff. So, you know,
and you know, you have hit on something, the importance of your world and, you know, your inner world and you know, bringing that for healing and whatever. What's happening politically, that's a drama, you know, that can very easily, and a fear that, you know, base that can. But if you keep bringing it back to you and the healing that you embody in your life, then what's happening politically is not going to directly impact you.
Yeah.
So
100%. Now, actually, just going to end on one final thing. I'm doing the prosperity party, which I did earlier this year. I'm actually doing it with a group of people in Russia at the moment, and it's been quite a unique experience for me. And I'm kind of dealing with some obviously language, but cultural issues as well, where we're myself and some of the people I'm working with are bringing personal development, this consciousness awareness to Russia. And we're talking about vision boards and manifesting, and some of the comments in the group have been, where's my vision board? Where's my stuff? Talk about manifesting. But then one lady this morning in the group going to hit the nail on the head that unless you change your inner world first, you're not going to experience the changes in the outer world. No. And I thought, oh, hooray! Yes, that's exactly the perfect answer.
Yeah, and you're totally right. That's what we all did. We changed our inner world and we changed our awareness. And in doing that, we empowered ourselves and we support other women while they change their inner world. We give them the tools and the techniques, and they have the power. They have totally power to change their worlds. And the more women that get up and get out there and do that, because we are programmed. It's in our DNA not to feel good enough. We've been judged for centuries. We don't have a muscle memory yet of success, generationally, because we're probably, maybe the ones that are before us and us are the generation that are going to allow that to happen. And, and I'm older than you, Mel. So, when I see younger women that are in their 20s and 30s and 40s that get this stuff, and I go, oh my God, you women, you just inspire me. It just lights my fire to think that they get it so young and what they're going to do with it, because they're the ones that are going to be teaching, in the future. They're the ones that are going to be empowering others.
Yeah.
Hey, go on.
Go women. See, go I told you it's girl power version 2.0.
It's hugely powerful. It's, when we get together, we're like a plug, that's an energetic source, of electricity that we, we're self-fulfilling, self-charging, and then it's just like we spread it out from there.
So let's end with this one final comment from Michelle. I'm so excited about where we are going as women. I couldn't agree more, Michelle. It's a perfect way to end the show. Thank you so much for your time, Marie. It's been wonderful as always talking to you. And big hug back. We will speak soon, Marie. And to everyone else, hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll be back at 2 p.m, same time again next week for another episode of Big Vision TV to inspire you, to enlighten you, and to help you on your journey towards your big vision. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.